Chapter 22. A few hundred miles away, Steve lay on his bed in a Boston hotel. He had imminent dinner plans with a client in a bar somewhere close. Inevitably, they'd be talking shop whilst watching the Red Sox play out one of the season's final games in Detroit. After a week in the US, Steve had only managed one night to himself and was struggling to keep up the momentum required by the pace of Jared's intense schedule. Aside from the workload, his heart felt heavy, and he checked his phone yet again for any new text messages. By now, Isla would surely have received the message he had left at the hotel. Maybe her schedule's changed and she isn't even in New York. He refreshed the laptop before glancing again at his new phone. She hadn't emailed either. Even airline stewardesses have email. She said she'd drop me one as well. Steve was convinced something had happened to her. Too many things were not making sense, especially as the hotel would have given her his mobile number by now, but she hadn't called or texted. He must have done something wrong. He refreshed everything again, slowly resigning himself to never knowing. A tired and deflated Steve started to pull himself together before skulking off to his last meeting of the day. He couldn't handle being rejected, but it was the idea that Isla was not the woman he thought she was. At least she could have had the decency to say thanks, but no thanks. He thought he'd made a special connection with her, and that she'd be somebody he could have a proper relationship with. Although they'd met only a handful of times, he felt differently about her. Isla had stimulated feelings in him that no other woman had ever managed. A cliché, but despite the embryonic status of their union, she was the first woman he'd ever really felt anything for. But it looked as though she was just another woman, and he had no choice but to put it down to a brief travel encounter. A friend for a reason, when he'd hoped for so much more. Given how far it had gone, in time, it would probably not even make the shortlist of memorable encounters. The tour was long, and as usual, there would always be other women.